Welcome to Global Trade for Beginners. The dearth of information in global trade has kept most people away from it. Some people have attempted to venture but got their fingers burnt. On Global Trade for Beginners, we bring you short courses that allow you to tackle international trade knowledgeably. If you follow the teachings in this course, you are sure to come out equipped to make well-informed decisions on your international trade transactions. Hello, I'm Adeto Kumbadiwe, an export consultant at Fortress 20 Global Limited. Welcome to the second part of the basic export for policymakers. In the first part, we covered the definition and significance of exports in economic growth, the types of exports, which are the goods and services exports, the trends and challenges in international trade, and the key players in the export process. In this second part, we'll be talking about export regulations and compliance, and we'll cover the overview of laws and regulations governing exports, both local and international, the importance of compliance with export documentation, key export documents, and the role of customs and trade authorities in export transactions. Let's get right into it. The laws and regulations governing exports ensure that international trade complies with legal, safety, and ethical standards. These laws are divided into local, which are also the domestic export regulations, and international export regulations. The local export regulations are laws that are set by the exporting country to control the flow of goods and services that are leaving its own borders. These local export regulations include: number one, export licensing. Some goods like military equipment, dual-use goods that are used by both civilian and military, and high-tech items may require an export license from the relevant government authority before they can be shipped out of the country. Number two, customs regulations. Exporters must comply with customs procedures, including submitting necessary documentation and ensuring that all duties, taxes, and fees are paid. Number three, export control laws. These laws restrict the export of certain goods and technologies that may pose a threat to national security or violate international sanctions. For example, weapons and sensitive technology. Number four, sanctions and embargoes. Some countries or entities may be subject to trade sanctions or embargoes, which means that exporters must avoid trading with them unless exceptions are granted. Number five, health, safety, and environmental standards. Goods must comply with domestic safety and environmental standards before being exported. Number six, trade agreements and preferences. Countries may have trade agreements, which are preferential trade agreements that offer benefits like reduced tariffs, but only if the exports comply with rules of origin and other provisions. Next are the international export regulations. These are standards and rules set by international bodies and enforced by the importing country for products and services brought into their own country. Some of the key international export regulations include customs and import regulations. Importing countries have their own customs regulations that exporters must follow, including proper documentation, tariff classifications, and product specific regulations. Number two, international trade agreements. Multilateral trade agreements, like the World Trade Organization rules, governs the treatment of goods traded between countries, ensuring fair competition and non-discriminatory practices. Number three, international commercial terms. Incoterms are set by the International Chamber of Commerce and they define the responsibilities of buyers and sellers in global trade. They clarify who pays for and manages shipping, insurance, and customs clearance. Number four, product standards and certifications. Exported goods must meet international quality standards such as ISO certifications to be accepted in global markets. Additionally, products like pharmaceutical products or electronics may need specific certifications before they are allowed into certain countries. Number five, sanitary and phytosanitary measures. These ensure that food, plants, and animal products meet certain health standards, preventing the spread of diseases and pests across borders. Number six, anti dumping and countervailing duties. Importing countries may impose extra duties on goods deemed to be sold below market value, which is dumping, or subsidized by the exporting country to protect local industries. Number seven, intellectual property rights protections. Exporters must ensure that their products do not infringe on patents or trademarks or copyrights in the importing country. It's important to note that failure to comply with these laws can result in fines, can result in penalties, shipment delays, or even the seizure of goods. In summary, while local regulations are focused on licensing, customs compliance, export control, sanctions, and adherence to domestic standards. International regulations, on the other hand, are governed by trade agreements, import requirements, product certifications, and safety standards. Next, we are looking at the importance of compliance with export documentation. It has become very important to comply with export documentation because of the following reasons. One, legal and regulatory compliance. Export documents are required to meet both the exporting and importing countries' legal and regulatory requirements. Number two, customs clearance. Accurate and complete export documentation is necessary for clearing customs in both the exporting and importing countries to prevent the seizure of goods. Number three, it facilitates smooth shipping. Proper documentation helps freight forwarders, shipping lines, and logistics providers to handle shipments efficiently. Number four, to ensure payment as at when due. Export documentations is sometimes linked to payment terms, such as letters of credit. Banks will only release payments once they verify that the necessary documents, for example, the bill of lading or the commercial invoice, comply with the terms of trade agreement. Number five, reducing the risk of dispute. Clear and correct export documents provide proof of shipment, terms of sale, and ownership. And these documents protect both parties in case of disputes related to the delivery, quality, or payment. We're still on the importance of compliance with export documentation. And number six is trade agreements and tariff benefits. Compliance with export documentation related to trade agreements, for example, the certificate of origin, is necessary to claim tariff reductions or exemptions under free trade agreements that require a proof of origin. Number seven, product compliance and standards. Certain goods require specific certifications, e.g., the health, safety, and environmental standards. Documentation like the phytosanitary certificate, the health certificate, the ISO certifications proves that the exported goods comply with these standards. Number seven, it prevents shipment seizures or penalties. Failure to comply with export documentation requirements can often lead to severe penalties, including fines, shipment confiscation, or ban on future exports. Number nine, it enhances trade relationships. Proper documentation and smooth transactions help to build trust between trading partners. Compliance with export documentation is very important for ensuring legal compliance, smooth customs clearance, and securing payments, and also minimizing the risk of disputes. Let's take a quick dive into the key export documents. These documents play a crucial role in the export process by ensuring that the goods comply with regulations. It ensures that the goods comply with regulations, it facilitates smooth customs clearance, and it protects the interests of exporters and importers alike. Here are some essential export documents. Number one, the commercial invoice. The commercial invoice is a proof of sale and it's also a customs document. Number two, the bill of lading. The bill of lading is the proof of shipment and is also the title to the goods. Number three, the packing list. The packing list typically shows a detailed list of the contents of the shipment. Number four, the certificate of origin. The certificate of origin is the proof of the goods origin. Number five, the export license. It's a government authorization for restricted goods. Number six, the pro forma invoice. The pro forma invoice is the preliminary invoice for import approval. Number seven, the insurance certificate. This is a proof of insurance coverage. Number eight, the letter of credit. It's a guarantee by the bank that payment will be made. Number nine, the shipper's export declaration is a regulatory export documentation to where the shipper declares what has been shipped. And number 10, the phytosanitary or health certificate, which shows the safety certifications for agricultural or food products. These key export documents facilitate compliance, payment, and smooth customs clearance. Do you think that customs and trade authorities play a role in export transactions? If they do, what are these roles? Customs and trade authorities actually play a crucial role in export transactions by regulating and facilitating the movement of goods across borders, by ensuring compliance with laws, and protecting national security and economic interests. Here's an overview of their roles. Number one, inspecting and clearing goods to ensure compliance with export regulations. Number two, enforcing export control laws to protect national security. Number three, ensuring adherence to trade agreements which allows exporters to benefit from preferential tariffs. Number four, collecting data to provide insights for trade policies and economic decisions. Number five, facilitating trade by simplifying the export process. Number six, preventing fraud and smuggling to protect the economy and legal trade. Number seven, enforcing sanctions to maintain international peace and security. Number eight, ensuring product safety by verifying standards and certifications. Their role, the customs and trade authorities, is critical to the smooth functioning of international trade and the protection of national interests. In the next video, which is part 3, we'll talk about supporting exporters, and this will cover creating an enabling environment and the challenges faced by exporters. Thank you for watching. Join us in the next video as we move to part 3 of the basic export course for policymakers. See you soon.